New year, new games. Well, sort of. Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Osiris New Dawn. And allow me to say a couple of things before we start. First off, Happy New Year, everyone! I hope you had a great New Year's Eve. I know I had. One I will never forget. And I wish you all the best of 2017. Now, second, this is the first early access game I have ever played. And I'm not counting H1Z1 because that has been out for almost a whole year now. And let me tell you, this game is about what I expected from a real early access game. And that is also the reason why we're going to change it up a little bit today. Instead of telling you the positives first and the negatives at the end, I'm going to tell you the negatives immediately after. Because all the good this game does gets instantly shafted by some of the negatives. But let me know in the comments below. Do you think early access games are worth any of your time, or are they just cash grabs for small time developers? I'd be interested to know. But enough foreplay, let's dive in. Osiris is a resource collection game where you collect resources and use them to craft items and structures. But the only way you can collect resources is by a small unbreakable chisel, which you use to beat rocks up. And your backpack is tiny, so prepare to walk a lot back to base. And once you're done beating rocks and have some resources, you can build some structures where you can save and calm down, and construct even more complicated appliances, tools to build even bigger structures and tools. Too bad that they all serve the same purpose, which is to create even more structures and tools, which you will get enough of after the third time of doing it. And there's no creative input, seeing that everything is pretty much pre-built. You just hold the button and it becomes full health. You also have a variety of cool looking indigenous species, some of which are harmless and some of which are most certainly harmful. Sadly, the only form of attack they know is to run at you. And seeing you have a jetpack from the start, you can just easily dodge them by just jumping over them and shooting back mid-air. But hey, what's that noise? Oh yeah, you also have giant fucking dust worms!
That is the scariest fucking thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
But I don't think they're finished, because they barely make any sound and their spawns are always on the same spot, so you don't have to worry about them unless you're in a giant crater. By the way, have I told you about the performance yet? Because the game runs smooth at about 60 to 80 FPS with no frame drops or crashes, and with everything on ultra. But do take in mind that this is with a GTX 1080, so prepare to lose some frames. And while we're on the topic of tech, you can craft a lot of cool things, like a spaceship, which you can even fly to space to mine asteroids. Too bad that the controls don't make any sense and it handles like other shit. And the same counts for your EVA suit, because it doesn't even have a button to turn left or right. And the only thing you can do in space is mining space crystals, who, spoiler alert, are already down on the planet. But how are these asteroids already on the planet, you ask? Well, they fall down from space, of course. A lot of them. And they are oddly very often targeted at you and your home. There is also some really impressive dynamic weather, which helps bring some life into this barren world. So much dynamic weather in fact that I'm actually wondering if the weather is ever normal in this world. Because the storm to normal weather ratio heavily falls to the storm side. And that could be either rain or dust storms. That being said, this game does have some really impressive music. And that is something I actually loved from the moment I first turned on the game. But sometimes I wish there was music, but I got silence instead. A lot of it. Or the game just decided that it wasn't time for music, just like it wasn't time to finish making the rest of the playable world. Because at one end I had a desert which appeared to have no end, so I grabbed the spaceship to check and I found out that it in fact did have an end. An unfortunate one at that. And last but definitely not least, you can fly your spaceship to a completely different planet with completely different terrain. But for some reason I was not allowed to leave my spaceship. So I just sat there, on a different world, contemplating to trash this game or not. Osiris New Dawn reeks early access, and I'm glad that I picked it up at the Steam Christmas sale. It is not necessarily that the game is bad, it is just that whenever it does something cool or new or interesting, it also does something to make you regret buying the game in the first place. And to be honest, I don't know if I need to tell you to buy this game or buy Minecraft instead, because they all do the same thing, but this game takes out the creativity and optimization and puts in slightly better textures. There is this one thing that does keep bugging me though, because when playing it did get me the feeling of, okay, I'll just do this and then I'll quit. And before I actually quit, it was 30 minutes later. Osiris does keep you busy with the mechanics it has, and for the 11 hours that I played it, I can tell you that I enjoyed myself for at least 60% of the time. So if you have a boatload of cash and a great PC, I'll tell you that Osiris New Dawn is just, but only just by an inch, worth the money.